Good hygiene is crucial, not just to me or to you, but to everyone involved. Without it, your company will suffer considerable losses, or in the worst case, and this happens still too often, it could collapse entirely. This course is our attempt to arm you against such disasters, and our weapon of choice is hygiene.
Größte Überträger für Infektion ist der Mensch. Man kann einen Raum noch so sauber halten, wenn Menschen nicht geschützt in einen Raum reingehen, dan macht das keinen Sinn.
Het is niet altijd de schuld van de pluksters dat ze gaan uitbreiden. Als je muggen hebt of stofmijten bijvoorbeeld, die kleine beestjes die zitten op die mol en die vliegen een beetje verder en die sporen hangen aan hun pootjes en zo verspreiden ze het in de zaal.
We hebben ooit eens een weekproductie gehad met heel veel besmetting. En de oorzaak daarvan was dat er een van de werknemers had per ongeluk bij de opkuis op vrijdag tegen de filter van de laminaire flow gestoten en een klein gaatje veroorzaakt. Nu, die persoon in kwestie was zich van geen kwaad bewust. Het gaatje was ook niet zichtbaar met het blote oog, maar het was er wel. En zij had dus ook niks gemeld. Wij wisten het niet. Dus de week nadien hebben we de productie gewoon zoals altijd gedaan. En toen bleek nog een keer een week later dat alle pakken, of dat heel veel van de geproduceerde zakken besmet waren.
Fungi reproduce by forming spores. Spores are very small cells, which are mostly carried around by the wind. Each spore can grow into a new fungal colony. Mushroom-forming fungi, like the white button mushroom, produce their spores underneath the cap, on the gills. One mushroom can produce billions of spores. Molds also produce spores, but these are formed directly in the mycelium, often on specialized cells, and often in abundance. This trichoderma mold, for example, can produce up to 50 million spores per square centimeter. In this jar, molds are growing. A fungus called Aspergillus has developed a small colony where specialized hyphae are sticking out like microscopic trees. Specialized hyphae will develop, producing heads full of spores. Soon, the entire colony is flourishing, producing spores in abundance. With the softest touch or the slightest breeze, spores are flung into the air to be spread around, hopefully falling on new food sources. And so, the cycle can start again. The invisible microbial life is all around us, all the time. And many of those microorganisms are actual infectious agents. They cause problems. They cause infections. When you produce mycelium, substrate or mushrooms, you want to suppress this microbial life. You want to keep it as low as possible. It's a dynamic equilibrium. Infectious agents are always trying to get in, and we are always trying to get them out. Previously, we showed you how the chain of infection works. Obviously, you need to understand this chain before I can teach you how to break it. Let me give you a short recap. It starts with the bad guys, the infectious agents. Think of bacteria and molds. So, you have a problematic infection, an outbreak. What do you do now? You approach it as you would a crime. Step 1. Set the perimeter. You have arrived at the crime scene. There's clearly infected material around. Immediately set the perimeter, making sure nobody messes up the evidence or starts spreading infections around. Step 2. Make a plan. Before you start stomping in, think for a moment. You need evidence, so you need a way to study it. Make a plan of investigation and containment. Now, the cleaning procedure itself. There is no one system fixes all problems. Doesn't exist, but there are some general guidelines that we can give you. When you have an outbreak, clean carefully. After you have removed the infected material, start to wash with water and detergent. If spores are trapped in the water, they will not be spreading through the air. Make sure you clean away all organic debris, grains on the floor, in hidden corners in machines, on racks, and so on. And clean everything: your floors, surfaces, machines, walls, and ceiling. Everything. But it gets even worse. Bacteria have another superpower. When the conditions for the bacteria are difficult, for instance when it is too dry or cold, or there is no more food available, some of the bacteria will start building a survival capsule. This is called an endospore. It has a very thick and tough cell wall and is very difficult to kill. All activity within this cell has stopped, but the cell is not dead. In this sleeping state, it is very well protected against heat, cold, irradiation, lack of oxygen, and so on. Now, when conditions turn favorable again, the endospore will transform itself back to a bacterium, and it will grow again and multiply again and again and again. First, a specific problem keeps popping up. For instance, the same type of infection, contamination, keeps returning every cycle. Second, your production yield is decreasing with every cycle. Your losses are building up. Third, you have taken targeted action, but none of your measures appear to work. If one of the above scenarios appears familiar to you, chances are that you know precisely what the chain of infection is. You simply didn't have a word for it. I cannot believe my eyes. The room is full of infected bottles. I see the problem, but I do not call out to other colleagues this time. On the contrary, if there are any disaster tourists around, I get rid of them. I get them out and I do not allow them back inside. Now I can secure my perimeter. This perimeter allows me to quarantine the crime scene. If it is a growing room, I close the door and I put a clear sign on that door. Do not enter. Let me give you your key takeaway from this video. Contamination can make your mushrooms unsafe to eat. Focus on hygiene and these issues will go away naturally. As we explained in Module 1, there are 4 areas in your production environment. There is the air that is continuously circulating. There is the available food source. There is the people working in your environment. And there are the surfaces, so the walls, the chairs, the tables, but also equipment and tools.